Hello everyone, and welcome to the Data Types lecture. In this lecture we're going to learn about PostgreSQL data types, including Boolean, character, number, and a bunch of other data types. So to be more specific, PostgreSQL supports the following data types. It supports Boolean data types, meaning true or false, character data types, number data types, temporal data types, such as date and time related data types, and then some special types, which are like geometric data types, and array data types. So we're going to need to specify what kind of data type a column should have whenever we are creating tables, which is why we're learning about data types more specifically right now. We've actually already interacted with quite a few of these data types when we were looking at reading from a table, but let's go ahead and review them all so we can understand how to use them when we're actually creating a table. And the reason we have data types just to begin with is to make sure that if someone is using your database, they're not able to insert the wrong data type into a column where it doesn't really belong. So let's go ahead and start off with the Boolean data type. A Boolean data type can hold one of two possible values, either true or false. And in case the value is unknown, then the null value is used, just a blank. And you can use Boolean or bool keyword when you declare a column that has a Boolean data type. So I'll be letting you know what the keywords are that we'll be using when we declare a column. Now I know we haven't actually declared a column yet or created a table, so just keep that in mind. We'll revisit these keywords when we're actually creating those tables. But Boolean or bool is the keyword for a Boolean data type. So when you insert data into a Boolean column, PostgreSQL will convert it into the Boolean value. So for example, if you input a 1, a yes, y, or t, or true, those are all converted to true. And if you were to input a 0 or no, n, false, f, those would all be converted to false data types in PostgreSQL. When you select data from a Boolean column, PostgreSQL displays T for true, F for false, and a space character for null. Now, about character data types, PostgreSQL has three types of character data types. One is the single character, CHAR, and then the second one is the fixed length character strings, CHAR, of some value n, some number. If you insert a string that is shorter than the length of the column, PostgreSQL will pad spaces, meaning it's going to add some spaces there. And if you insert a string that is longer than the length of the column, PostgreSQL will issue an error. So the reason you may want to use a fixed length character string is to make sure that a user isn't able to put in a string of characters that doesn't belong there. So you may think of this as maybe you have a certain number of expected letters for some sort of ID code, and you don't want the user to be able to mess that up. Then you also have variable length character strings, VARCHAR, with some n number there. And then you can store up to n characters with variable length character strings. And PostgreSQL does not pad spaces when the stored string is shorter than the length of the column. So basically the differences here between fixed length and variable length character strings is fixed length character strings, PostgreSQL is always going to make sure that they're all the same length. Either it's going to pad spaces or declare an error if the item you're trying to insert is longer than the length that's allowed. For variable length character strings, you can store up to n characters of variable length. So n is just the limit, and in that case, PostgreSQL is not going to pad spaces. So variable length character strings are really useful for people's names, where you don't know how long they're going to be, but you will set some limit so someone can't just write in a name of thousands of letters long. So you can go ahead and revisit the customer column and check out the variable character names for their first and last name. Okay, so moving along from the character data type, we have the number data type. And PostgreSQL provides two distinct types of numbers, integers and floating point numbers. For integers, we have three separate types of integers. We have a small integer, and the type you declare is just small int. And it's a 2-byte signed integer that has somewhere between the range of negative 32,768 and positive 32,767. Then we have an integer declared int, which is a 4-byte integer that has a range of those two numbers there. And my apologies, I actually just quickly edited, there was a typo there, that should have been positive. So from negative this number to positive this number. And this number is actually just 2 to the power of 31. So you can go ahead and check that out yourself. And then the third integer type is serial. And serial is the same as integer except that PostgreSQL will automatically populate values into the column automatically. So basically what that means, it's kind of similar to something that is auto increments attribute in some other database management systems, but it's just a way to keep a running tally where the integer is populated automatically. So it keeps incrementing depending how you define it. And we'll explore that later on. Okay, so for the floating point numbers, we also have three types. We have a float n, and that declares a floating point number whose precision is at least n up to a maximum size of 8 bytes. So that's the actual storage size, 8 bytes in memory of the database. Then the second type is real, or you could also use float 8, and it's a double precision, meaning 8 byte floating point number. Then you have numeric, or you can also use numeric p comma s, and that's a real number with p digits with s number of them after the decimal point. And if you want the exact number, so pretty much perfect precision, at least as far as you can get it, you can use the numeric with p comma nothing, and that's going to be the exact number. Okay, so after that we have temporal data, which stores date and time information, or date and time related data. We have the date, which stores date data, or just time, that stores time data. Or we have the timestamp, which is the one we've been working with a lot, which stores date and time data. Interval stores the difference in timestamps, and we also have timestamp TZ, another one we've been working with, that stores both timestamp and time zone data. So these basically just build off of each other. So you combine date and time to get timestamp. You can use interval to store the difference between timestamps, and then you take timestamp and add time zone data to it, and you get timestamp TZ. Okay, so that's it for the data types. Knowing them is going to be useful when creating tables or inserting data into tables. So don't worry about memorizing all these right now. Usually you would just reference the documentation, but we're going to slowly build our understanding of these as we insert data into tables and create tables. Okay, with that being said, thanks everyone, and I will see you at the next lecture.